I feel almost forced to make this video because I have seen so many posts regarding this thing warning people not to buy it because the ATF will come and shoot your dog. Why don't you go back to playing Call of Duty or hanging black garbage bags over your windows so you can LARP around your house without having to worry about your neighbor reporting you for suspicious activity? Companies that put out stuff like this should be supported. Now, I get if it's a political thing, like I don't want to send my money into China. That makes sense. I totally get you. No point in arguing that in the comments. But sliding the China thing off the table, the videos and posts I've seen on Facebook warning people not to buy that are just ridiculous. These are the same people that are claiming they're going to throw on a Hawaiian shirt and boogaloo, and now they're advising people and they're worried about buying a lawful product and using it in a lawful manner. It makes absolutely no sense. What do we got right here? This would be a full auto fire control group, which was mailed directly to my house. Not only was this full auto fire control group mailed directly to my house, I also had a library of books mailed directly to my house, How to Make a Machine Gun. And we'll get back to that in a little bit. I need to make a couple of points first. I apologize if you're not ADHD, because it'll seem like I'm topic bouncing, because non-ADHD people can't put things together as quickly as ADHD people. But just hang in there, I'll make a point in the end, and it'll all be worth it. So, it was like 2004 maybe? It was shortly after I got out of high school. I lost my driver's license on a bullshit ticket. I was very upset about this ticket. I was even more upset that they took my driver's license. So how did I react? Well, if they're not going to let me have my driver's license, then I'm not going to follow any moving laws. So I never got my license back. I never registered my vehicles. I did not use insurance. I drove everywhere like 80 miles an hour. I didn't use my blinkers. When people would be like, bar time, who's going to drive us home? I'd be like, I got this. Eventually, I got a girlfriend, and she was like, look, Matt, how much would it have cost you to be insured this whole time? How much would it have cost you to get your driver's license renewed? How much would licenses have costed you? How much would it have costed you to register your vehicle? Clearly, not only did they pay for the tickets, they paid with interest. A lot of interest. Go get your driver's license. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Because I used to just get angry. Like, cops would pull me over and they'd be like, you don't have a driver's license. I'm like, yep, put her on my tab. Just write me a ticket. One cop almost made me walk, but it was like -20 out. Because he got really upset. He pulled me over. He's like, hey, you're driving a truck and these are car plates. I'm like, yeah, I got the plates from a junkyard. He's like, yeah, I was about to say the plates aren't even registered to you. Did you even license the vehicle? I'm no, but I got the title in the glove box proving I own it. He's like, well, let me see your driver's license. I'm like, I don't got a driver's license. He's like, do you have insurance? I'm like, nope. And he was going to have my vehicle get towed, but it was like -20 out, and I was wearing a hoodie. I'm like, dude, I'm going to make it, 30 minutes out here, and I'm going to die. And then they're going to see that you had an interaction with me. How's that going to look on the books? And finally he was like, well, I'm going to go on the north side of town. Don't ever let me catch you driving again, or I will make you walk and I will have your vehicle towed. So I sold that vehicle and got a different vehicle, and he never caught me again. The point is, if somebody were to come after you for this particular fuel filter, more specifically the feds, and charge you with a felony crime, they're not necessarily charging you with a felony crime. They're breaking the shackles of society. Because if you already have a felony and you can't own a gun, and you're a patriot, so obviously you're going to own a gun, and you're already breaking one law, why just break one? You might as well break them all. That's when you have unlimited NFA items, and you're going to spend some time in federal prison, so you're going to get a bunch of contacts, and then dumping your knowledge onto the black market would be extremely profitable. That's when you're probably going to be driving a new production Escalade and getting welfare checks. So they would definitely pay for that. So they would look at this and be like, okay, So would he be more of a nuisance to society if we let him buy this, which he may or may not commit a felony with, or charge him with a felony, and then he's definitely going to commit a bunch of felonies after that? What would be worse? We have less than 200 agents in Wisconsin. We have a population of over 5 million. Any one of those at this very moment may or may not be committing a felony gun crime in the garage. Any one of them. Any one of them, now here's where the fire control group comes up, may look like they're committing a felony, but if we were to raid them, we'll look like a bunch of asses because they weren't. Now this full auto fire control group, why did I buy this? Well, this was back in the Obama administration. And I had watched a lot of news then. I was listening to BBC Radio, Alex Jones. That's why whenever you ask me, did you hear about the new bill, HR, whatever the hell? I'm always like, no, because I can't watch that crap anymore. I enjoy sleeping at night. I just have to let it go and pretend that it's not happening. Otherwise, I literally do not sleep. I get all worked up, high blood pressure. So anyway, during the Obama administration, all these news organizations convinced me Obama was coming for me. And I'd see all these people being like, oh, he's King Obama, and he's coming for us, and he's doing all this evil stuff, and not one of them were doing a damn thing about it. So what did I do? Well, I put a camera up, because I live in an apartment complex, pointing at my door. And then I ordered a whole bunch of crap. So from the outside looking in, anybody would have looked at my orders and been like, he's making machine guns. He's probably got a couple of them. But from the inside looking out, these packages were literally still in the box. I kept them in the box for a couple of months with the books. And I set them on my counter. Right underneath of it, instructions how to make a cutaway. If you don't know what a cutaway is, it's a non-functioning firearm. Well, you can't even call it a firearm because it couldn't shoot a projectile. It's not possible. And they basically mill all this out so they can show how the firearm works. So from the inside looking out, it looks like I was making a demonstration piece because I had just started my YouTube channel at that time, for my YouTube channel. From the outside looking in, it looked like I was making a machine gun. And my plan was, because I stayed up like every single night watching that freaking monitor waiting for something to happen, if I seen them stack up and it looked like they were coming in with the intention to kill, I'd know where they were in the wall and I'd get the jump on them. If it looked like, one guy coming with a warrant, I was going to let them arrest me. I was going to go into court and just have an utter shit show. I already had money saved up so I could get a really good lawyer. I was just going to drop the hammer on them and basically become a martyr and make an example out of them. And they think about that crap every time before they go and try to raid a house. They don't want to jump into a sticky situation. Now, if you purchase this and you get it for a lawful, because usually with gun laws, I'm not a lawyer. I am not offering legal advice. I am not giving legal advice. Do not come here trying to get legal advice. But usually it comes down to intent. If I intend, and they can prove I intend to commit a felony gun crime, they can usually charge you with it. Again, I am not a lawyer. So you would have to provide intent. Like when they come into your house, basically it would have to be full of gunpowder and already drilled out. It would have to be an open and shut case. So if you were to buy this without the intent, remember that's important, without the intent to commit a federal gun crime, like say you're buying this for a solvent trap and you're cleaning your gun, and then after you own it, you're like, wow, this thing really sucks ass at its job. I think I'm going to take parts from this and make a silencer. So then you engrave a serial number on it, you fill out a Form 4, you send it in, you get your Form 4 back with the approval, you make it a silencer. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but you're good to go. And these kind of companies should be supported because that is the cheapest way to make a silencer. And, well, I'll get into other things. Now you're like, well, that would just be easy to do. That's why it's illegal. What does that kind of look like? Right here we got a muzzle brake. Doesn't it look strangely familiar? If I were to take a piece of metal, machine it out so it fits on these threads and it fits on here tightly, I have made a silencer. Just by covering these holes. Hell, I could probably even wrap this in tape and it would be counted as a silencer. Yeah, it wouldn't work for shit, but it's still, that would be breaking a federal law. Why aren't people getting all up in arms about this muzzle brake? Being like, oh, don't buy that because the feds are going to shoot your dog. Or what about this moderator? All I'd have to do is get the right size washers, run a spacer in between it, drop them in there, put a plug weld at the end. I just reactivated this moderator. Nobody's getting up in arms about Troy and how they love giving handies to FBI snipers that like to shoot innocent women and children. Nobody's freaking out about that, but they're freaking out about this. That's ridiculous. Go back to playing Call of Duty. And even that PFI Russia guy, they hit him with felonies. I don't know his whole story, so maybe he was more of a nuisance not being a felon than he was as being a felon. But I suspect, because of the connections he most likely made in federal prison, plus his knowledge dumped onto the black market, eventually the temptation will be too much to resist. And he'll commit more and more federal crimes, because once you become a felon, your chains are broken. There's nothing to resist on. And my girl said I can't set up the feds or anything anymore. She put a kibosh on that once we had children. And children's changed a lot of things, so that's why I became totally legit, and I don't do anything that would ever deserve a felony. So if they ever did hit me with one, yeah, then I'm going to drop the hammer. Now you're probably going to hammer down in the comments, but what about that Glock auto sear? That's a different story. And I don't know how they're arresting those people. I don't know their stories. I didn't even catch wind of this till after it was all done. To be honest, if I would have seen that on the internet, I would have bought it, not knowing what it was. I mean, I would have known, but I wouldn't have known it was a legit part. I wouldn't have known it was a legit part till I went to the gun range and let off a burst of full auto. That's when I've been like, oh my God. I would have ripped it out of the gun and threw it. And I would have sat there for a second, then I would have went in the weeds, found it, like shoved it in my gas tank, drove home, dropped my gas tank, retrieved it, smashed it with a hammer, and like burnt it with a blowtorch, and just prayed the feds didn't show up. The people that got arrested, unless they were posting videos or some sort of proof that they knew what it was, they were using it for what it was for, and then putting that on the internet, like that I can see, because clearly they figured out what it was and they still pursued it. That I can see them getting raided for. But really, the people that should have been arrested was Customs, because it should have never made it through. And the FBI agent, or the ATF agent that failed to let Customs know to intercept those packages. Why, that's a different story, because that itself is the machine gun. That would be like... I can't get the pins apart right now. That would be like buying a receiver with this third hole already drilled. That's what that part is to a Glock. Now, I don't fully understand the mechanics of the Glock, because I never really cared about the Glock 18. And like I said, I would have bought it thinking I was building a clone of a Glock 18, and then when I figured out it was full auto, it would have immediately come out and I would have destroyed it. But I wouldn't have known it was full auto because I don't fully understand the mechanics. But from what I understand, just that one Glock part shoved into a Glock, you now have a machine gun. I could be wrong about this. Correct me in the comments if I am. But that's why that's different, because that itself is the machine gun. Where this is a fuel filter or a solvent trap or whatever the hell you want it to be. It is not a silencer. It is a legal piece of metal. And you could go to just about anybody's garage and grab legal pieces of metal that could make a silencer. How about a potato? I could shove a potato on the end of my gun and it will in fact reduce the sound. Am I going to get arrested if I buy potatoes? Yeah, it's going to suck at reducing the sound, but it's a hell of a lot easier than doing this thing. So am I more likely, or putting more intent towards building a silencer by buying a bag of potatoes? Or this? The potatoes are cheaper, they're easier to do. So anyway, I just wanted to drop this video because it's ridiculous. The same people that are like, oh, hey, I want to boogaloo and fight for rights are telling you not to buy this thing. And I'm not targeting any specific person. It's all over Facebook. It's all over YouTube. All over Instagram. Everyone's like, oh, don't buy this. ATF trap, they have much better things to do than track down these, which are not illegal, and arrest people for not breaking federal crimes. 200 agents against 5 million. Believe me, they have far better things to do, like running gun traces and shit like that. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon right there. If you'd like to check out any of my other videos, click on the links up here. Also, I got affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on that link and doing your Amazon shopping, I get a little kickback for it, because you went there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.